Hey y'all, it's Rick here with Uncommon Communion. Yes, I missed a recording today, Wednesday morning. I did want to talk to you about Psalms 42 without getting out of cycle. And I do plan to write this evening for tomorrow's post, which would be Thursday. I'm going to keep this one brief. I appreciate your tuning in, watching this a little bit out of my rhythm. Nevertheless, let's begin as we always begin by recognizing, realizing, celebrating, and affirming that we are always and everywhere in the holy presence of the more and each other. So, just a quick reflection on current events today. Boy, I don't know if you saw it, but the testimony by the dirty DOJ supervisor, Attorney General Pam Bondi was shameful, stunning, and absolutely telling about where we are with this regime. It was amazing, y'all. The first time she testified was a number of months ago, perhaps, and we only had part of the Epstein files released. And now, even though they are still the DOJ, her DOJ, Trump's DOJ, because she is so very much a puppet of his, they haven't complied with releasing all of the files, and they've made a mess of it. They've redacted names that shouldn't have been. They've unredacted victims' names. We've talked about all those things here, and you're probably hearing about them elsewhere. But this time, as the representatives were pushing very clear specifics and asking her to commit to things, she did nothing but evade. She did nothing but yell at them, be disrespectful for them. It was insane. I mean, you listen to it, and she sounds like a teenager. She sounds like a teenager who is caught, who is trapped, who knows they're lying. And what is interesting and important is also knows what perjury is and knows that if she lies and it is found out, and it will be found out, y'all, it will be found out, she is in very serious trouble. Not just perhaps criminal trouble, at the very least, she will be disbarred. Because if there's anything that will get an attorney disbarred quicker, it is to knowingly and publicly lie, especially to commit perjury, which is lying under oath, right? So it was pretty horrible. It's where we are now, though. And I think, again, with the Epstein pressure, it continues to drip and drip and drip. It's coming, y'all. It is coming slowly. It is coming. And it may not be yet. Hopefully it will be soon. Hopefully it will be in this particular moment, because I think it is the dam that is waiting to burst that will flood this regime, that will flood all of the corrupt people. Pretty much everybody in Trump's cabinet is somehow implicated in this, whether it's the cover up, which continues, which we heard about, whether it's lying or just hanging out with partying on Epstein's island or elsewhere. So this is nowhere near over. And each day it gets worse and worse and worse. Yeah, y'all, the midterms, not far away anymore, about 260-ish days. So tick tock, rump, your time is coming. All right, y'all, I want to talk about Psalm 42. It is listed as being in book 2, so a separate section of the Psalms that is an internal type of division with the Psalms. And it opens with a passage, a verse that probably will sound familiar, even in this translation, the First Nations translation. So I want you to listen as I read this, and I'm going to read the whole thing. It's relatively short. I want you to listen and think about the passion and the spirituality that is being expressed here. So here we go, Psalm 42. O great Spirit, like a deer panting for streams of water, my dry and thirsty soul pants for you. My whole being longs to drink deeply of you, for you are the true and living Great Spirit. When can I go to meet you face to face? My tears are my only food as I weep day and night. My enemies never stop taunting me, saying, where has your Great Spirit gone? My wounded heart is bleeding as I remember how things used to be. I was the headman dancer leading a great crowd to Creator's sacred lodge, staying in step with the drum. The women lulu'd and the men whooped and shouted as we danced for joy and sang songs. Why do I now feel like I am melting away? Why am I so troubled deep inside? I will put my hope in the Most Holy One. I will once again thank him for all he has done. O giver of life, my heart is fallen to the ground, so I must keep you in my thoughts. I do this from the land of flowing river flowing down Jordan, from the peaks of sacred mountain Hermon and humble hill Mizar. I hear the echoes of your roaring waterfalls as deep calls out to deep. Your surging waves have swept over me again and again. Each day, Grandfather sends his faithful and true love my way. At night, his song comes to me as my prayer to the giver of life. O great Spirit, my rock, I ask, why have you forgotten me? Why do I walk a path of gloom and despair, hunted down by my enemies? Their taunts are like bone-shattering blows as they echo again and again. Where has this great Spirit of yours gone? Why do I still feel like I am melting away? Why am I so troubled deep inside? I will put my hope in the great Spirit and once again thank him for all he has done. Yeah, I like the water imagery, right? Right there in the very first verse, we have that famous line, like a deer panting for streams of water. My dry and thirsty soul pants for you. Have you ever had a dry and thirsty soul? I have. Times when life just seems difficult. We wonder, where is God, right? Dark night of the soul is another way that this can be described. And it's that wondering, it's that doubt, it's that longing. It's that famous line in scripture where Jesus asks the man who wants to have his child healed by Jesus. And Jesus says, do you believe I can do this? And the man says, I believe, help my unbelief, right? And I think that's what the psalmist is getting at. He is believing in God enough to cry out to God, and yet he is wondering where God is, right? I love that line also, multiple places where more water is here, right? He talks about, I hear the echoes of your roaring waterfalls as deep calls out to deep. That reminds me of the connection that we have, that God within us recognizes God above us and around us and through us, all of those different things. It's all God and it's all connected, right? And then the psalmist in that same verse, this is verse 7, he says, your surging waves have swept over me again and again. Yeah, really, really powerful stuff. And as we've heard elsewhere, he talks about my enemies and my taunting. And then that last verse, so powerful. And there's something unique about this last verse that we're going to hear in Psalm 43. Why do I still feel like I'm melting away? Right? Even though he is called out, the psalmist is called out to God. Why am I so troubled deep inside? Right? And then he ends with, I will put my hope in the great Spirit and once again thank him for all he has done. So recognizing that it is all about God and the connection that we have, even if we don't feel it, even if there's that dryness of our soul and spirit. All right, y'all, I want to wrap up here. Again, I appreciate your watching, listening, however it might be. Let's end with the serenity prayer. God grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Sorry. Thy will, not ours, be done. All right, y'all. Blessing and good. Be bold, be well. Hold fast, y'all.